Hello and welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We're going to discuss episode 6 of the second season of Vikings Valhalla, entitled Leap of Faith. It was once again written by Niall Queenan and directed by Jan Matthews. I thought this was probably the most successful episode this season, with the exception of maybe the first episode of the season. As you know, I have struggled with some of the story arcs, as well as Mimi in the feedback, but it feels as if this episode had something happening that would make for some confrontation or resolution in the finale. And I'm glad to see some storylines moving quicker to that, even though I have been dismayed by the pace. Before we do jump into the recap, wherever you listen to this podcast, Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I think that's the same thing. Go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. A like, share, and subscribe. Did I already say that? I might have already did. But it certainly helps to spread the word. We are going to, of course, break it down and I like breaking it down where we are geographically, because it keeps the flow of the storylines together, especially when you're bouncing around all the time. In Jomsborg, which continues to be the weakest story arc, here's my thing. If Freydis was your draw to get these people here, these refugees, you put her on a pedestal as the priestess, which is to soften the blow of the fact that they are effectively slaves for you. If that was the deception, and then you find out Freydis, hey, he's been utilizing me for his own gains, his own political power, why not use that exact same power that you have with the people to rise against the additional oppressors?
You guys suck.
Anywho, Herefna, I believe that's how you say her name, finds bleeding Freydis and pretends to give her up to Arthur, aka Haker, when he goes asking her mother where they can locate her. So she leads them where she located her body, and they find her bloody clothes and wolf tracks. So that's a pretty plausible explanation to her death. And considering that she should not be able to recover successfully to fight the very next day, or I don't know, hours later, it would seem supposed to just take this all in. Gudrid, is that how you say her name? Begs her son to ask for leniency, but he admits they have turned their backs on what is good for a monster who has no qualms, setting up his, quote, son for the murder of Freydis and trying to get him to be condemned to death.
Daddy, chill.
Now, of course, I was initially thinking, well, why didn't you do more if you cared so much to try to get your monster of a husband, called out for what he's doing to your son? However, I realized very quickly that she'll just be dismissed as someone who wants to protect her child versus someone who, because when you get to the sham trial, you're like, yeah, no, he set this shit up. Freydis gets help from the obvious people that would help her. Meanwhile, Jojo is given his condemnation for the murder of Freydis. So the elders decide to remove his status, exile him, and chop off his hand.
Execute Order 66.
I didn't see Freydis or Gudrid taking a moment to think about the sacrifices Jojo has made. And all of this this heartbreak, torture, physically and mentally from the man that's supposed to be his father, Gudrid at least pretends, I think she actually loves the boy, by helping him with supplies when he is put on the boat so they can take him out to sea, to let him adrift on a raft, and doing what she can to stave off the bleeding. Everyone else doesn't look too pleased with the actions unfolding, and that should have somehow registered with Arthur, but he seems unfazed. They just made him a villain for absolutely no reason. I'm still not even fully grasping this very much grasping at straws storyline that they presented here. Before being exiled, he once again proclaims his innocence and warns the others on the boat that his father's power-hungry nature will be dire to all of them if you get in his way. Freydis returns back to the village, and I'm not sure we even needed the fight. The fact that she's alive and Haker said that his son killed her should have been enough for everyone to rise up, especially Gudrid, whose son just got, exiled and it was all a fucking lie. You would think at this moment, be like, you know what? Let's just stone this motherfucker to death. I don't need to see him beat up someone who should be in bed. Quite frankly. I mean, damn, you just pushed out the afterbirth. It's farcical. It's very, very farcical. I'm glad my man's is still getting work, but goddamn. Can y'all give him some good work? He deserves it. Let's move to Novgorod. Olaf is on his way. With his hair blowing in the wind, that looked like it should have been on a Harlequin romance novel. While hunting with his cousin as well, he is told that his brother has become a fur trader and has left months ago on a sled, on a boat. And if I was lying, I'd come up with a more plausible story. And that his concern should be the Vikings that are raiding the Baltic Sea, which is a problem since the trade route to Constantinople is blocked. This is their only viable trade route, and thus Olaf commits to stopping the raids, which also, lines up with his shit going on at Kattegat. Why is he so shifty about Freydis, who should be a better adversary, seeing as this would have been the perfect time to launch a coup in Kattegat? But no, she has yet to do what she was supposed to. And that's all we got. That's all we got from him this week. I do like the cousin. I hope we get more of him in season 3. We focus very heavily and have focused heavily in the previous Viking series on England, which is why I really feel as if that storyline can totally be cut out, if I'm being frank, because there's so much more with the whole, the Kievan Rus. There's so much more with Vikings leaning themselves out in Constantinople. Like, there's so many more interesting mind story arcs to pursue than the consistent one that is just so overly done everywhere. We focus, anytime we do historical movies, they're always in fucking England. Don't get me wrong, I love my English European history, but Europe is not just Britain or France. There's plenty of other places. Speaking of, let's go to London. Only reason why I was happy for this story arc is because my zaddy is finally home.
Baby,
Geetha tells Godwin Emma has left with Agnar.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
And I'm mad because she had a stooge this entire time. Because he even looked concerned. Agnar. Oh no. I'm just not getting this man's name. Who is he? We needed to know more. She has decided to be proactive and search for the bear, knowing she was played, but not quite sure how. But in the words of JoJo, it's just a little too late. At an ale house, after telling Agnar laughingly, the barkeep or ale housewoman, is that what they called her? She will only speak with the queen. Emma presents herself and she tells her, look, the bear is John Fletcher. He was a guardian of Godwin when they used to live around here. And then Godwin, after the betrayal, became bitter and angry, and that John Fletcher will do anything for him. Godwin is then given the heads up that the queen is in Sussex, and just like when he saw his deceased upset, he knows exactly what is going on. Agnar and Emma, of course, find the bear when he has already deceased himself. No evidence to tell if he's been murdered, but very convenient. I will say, how the fuck did Godwin get word to him so damn fast? I know that the continent of England is not that huge. The continent, that's not accurate, even close to being. You know what I meant, the country of Brittany, which is actually not Brittany. Okay, Great Britain. That basically you can get from London to all the way to like Edinburgh in like a day or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's true. But you can't get there that fast. They do find the family ring. However, when they return, she finds herself joyfully wishing her husband a hello. And I'm like, bitch, me too. Where have you been, Canute? You cannot leave the show this long. You cannot. I need to see you going around with your crazy ass daddy doing things. I need more of that and less of your queen and Godwin. She advises him of her concerns, but she admits while she is suspicious, nothing actually concretely implicates Godwin in anything. And when she did what she did by torturing Aethelwyn, she certainly didn't do it knowing Godwin was guilty of any crime. So, because she cannot, Aethelwyn, be accounted for in this supposed deception, an olive branch must be offered. And that olive branch is Geetha. Geetha, who is so caught up in Aethelwyn's stories of Godwin's love that she is eager to toss his clear ambitions to the side and bashfully, or brazenly, that's the right word, says that I can give him the one thing that she couldn't, which is a son that could be king of England. And now we know why he seduced Aethelwyn. He decided to go a roundabout way of so stupid. Can we just say that? So dumb. This girl is so lovesick, you could have just seduced her. But I suppose that would have been too obvious. So he had to do this whole workaround. It worked out for him, I suppose, but it feels sloppy. Just too sloppy. Especially when it took all of 2 hours for your ass to figure out what the fuck was going on. If you didn't trust him, you should have said, you know what? I'm going to make my own inquiries. Last and certainly not least, Leif in Wonderland, or Alice in Wonderland, whichever you prefer. Kaysan and Merida, I'm calling her Merida, because that's what, with her red hair, what Mimi called her from Brave. Is it Merida though? I'm pretty sure it's Merida. Have sex. She is happy about being free, but by the way in which Kaysan's ass and backside is sculpted to damn perfection, I'd be pretty happy about the sex too. The girls are once again swimming with Batu shaving instead of getting frolicky with them. They is just horny as hell, ain't they? I ain't mad at them. But certainly one got himself a girlfriend and the other two is like, you can have one of us. You need to choose, Batu. Hell, you can have both. Harald and Leif, they go to see that their path is blocked by a huge waterfall, with Leif impressed 1 minute and then concerned the next about how they are going to survive that and then have to get past the Pechenegs, which are over the horizon. His group, however, is not too keen to move forward any longer, seeing as they are pretty content to not risk death with the Pechenegs and simply remain camped here. Worse, Leif tells them he will need to lose the furs if they mean to get through the falls anyway, and thus Harald walks away in an understandable huff.
How do I reach these kids?
He's thrown a few tantrums where I'm like, sir, but we've come this far. We're this damn close. There's already been a death. We need to keep going. It needs to be worth it. But then when he finds out he has to give up his furs, that's when he himself has to question, is this a good idea? And I love that Leif put him in this situation to humble his ass. Miriam picks Atropa in the event that she will no longer be able to handle the pain and intends to kill herself, rather poetically, because she's the goddess that will cut the string of life or something to that effect. So Leif kisses her and they make love.
Come on.
I did wonder about Leif a couple of episodes ago, even maybe one episode ago, that he wasn't going to be able to handle it. Like, I was like, what? But I do think that after seeing them in the after coitus glow, that Leif does understand, has come to some type of actual enlightenment and emotional growth that I didn't give him credit for, because he hears that she's dying. He hears that she's preparing to kill herself if the pain becomes too great. He doesn't give her false promises. He doesn't, try to dissuade the inevitable outcome. He simply wants to spend time with her. I think that she helped him out of the dark place that he was at after Liv by giving him inspiration to live again. All the things that are worth living for. And he did let Liv go. She's in Valhalla. He doesn't believe in that. But for her, she's getting from him his escort, but also, a comfort at the end of her life. She doesn't have anyone else if that's the end of her life. And I believe it is so. As she asks, how did you figure out the math situation? What's the science behind that? And he's like, well, just something I know. However, I did tell him because he needed to know and be put in the position of what he is asking others to do, which is sacrifice. Something that Harald hasn't had to do, even though, he did get gutted last season.
I'm dying. Help me.
And then he follows it up with he started it with everyone wants to live, has something to live for, and thus you can't pretend every challenge is something to rise above, or thus they are cowards, which is what he called them. Miriam, while embracing what may come, admits that she doesn't want to die either. Elena approaches Harald to further reinforce what he cannot understand yet, which is love and freedom. Because he's like, how could you abandon me? I thought you'd be the last one to not want to keep going forward, especially for your father. And she says, I didn't say I didn't want to go forward. I said I understood how they're feeling. Love and freedom are hard things to let go of when you've never been in their position to understand how much they covet them. Yes, there are threats, but they aren't real until they present themselves. And right now, it feels like the safest thing to do is what they're doing. He brings up her dad and the fact that he was willing to make the journey knowing about the Peshin eggs, but she explains that it's because he feared something else more. She tells him of how the Chud had invaders coming in, killing people by the hundreds. Her father went to Constantinople and negotiated an end to the raids. With a great tribute, he was returning to Constantinople to offer the emperor, which is the emblem she has around her neck. And he says, I admire you for being brave to deliver on your father's promise, allowing her to keep what is so very valuable. I think that was a little bit of a test as well of her saying, you know, if you sacrifice, you don't know what it is that you might be rewarded just for doing the right thing. And so after realizing he does need to show and not just dictate, he ends up tossing the furs in and says, look, I can promise to do my best to keep you safe, but I cannot do that here. And when they see that he's willing to sacrifice just as much as they are to get to their final destination, because in the end, getting there is far more valuable than dying getting there. And that's how Harald has been. Like, oh, I'll go by myself. And he's like, you can't, because you need these many people to row it. You know, you got to stop trying to go at it alone. A, you need people. B, being a good leader means leading by example. And I feel like this arc very much has grown Harald as a character. It's the most successful arc there is with Leif because he is becoming much more of a leader other than just trying to pursue his narrow-minded goal. It's not all about him. I do have these other people that have their own hopes and dreams and desires. And if we are to do this together, then I have to keep that in mind as well. Then the crew make their way over the waterfall and we are left on a cliffhanger. I give this episode an 8.8 out of 10. Now that it looks like we're done with the stupid Haker stuff, hopefully things pop off in Kattegat the way it should have 5 or 6 episodes ago. I'm guessing that Olaf is on his way back. And I'm really curious to see how things go down next episode because it is entitled Peshin Egg. So I know we're going to get some fucking fighting. And I know that one man has a score to settle in which I want to see him settle. So before we sign off, let's hop into the mailbag.
Mail, motherfucker!
What up, Stina? It's Mimi. I just watched Vikings Valhalla, episode 6 of season 2. And the first thing I would like to do is I would like to say to whoever directed and wrote this episode, you can go to hell. How dare you give me an opportunity to see Leif's fine ass in the thrones of love and you fucking betrayed me. You shortchanged me. I am very fucking mad. I love that my man is in love. I love that she loves him back. But what I do not love is how your bitch ass didn't let me see what I wanted to see. all we got was his shirt, him shirtless. And it was for like 3 seconds. I didn't need everything. I wanted to see something. Even if it was like, just, them, like a silhouette, like the shadow version of them undressing each other. Like, but because I know y'all will show Leif's body. So I know that ain't it. I would like to know who is responsible for this so I can send them an angry letter. Like, y'all make us look at everybody else, whether I want to or not. But y'all wouldn't let me get my mans. I'm so mad. The only reason I'm not bitter about this episode was because everything else was really good. Like, I love the conversation between Miriam and Leif. I love how she was just going around picking some berries just in case I gotta off myself. I'd rather take my own life than live in agony. And he was like, oh, are these edible? And she like jumped over there to be like, oh no. It was so cute. He was looking at her like, what are you doing? And then like their conversation, it's so mature. And I don't know. We never got to see the side of Leif when he was with Liv. It was either, he was throwing down his gauntlets for fucking Freydis' old ungrateful raggedy ass, or he was, with Harald. We saw like them build a friendship, but we really didn't see him and Liv, and like, cuddled up, getting in, like, talking to each other. I mean, granted, they grew up together, so he probably already knew her, but still, like, seeing him, like, fall in love with someone, especially over, like, a common interest, an interest that he didn't even know he had until she brought it to him. And I really enjoyed that. Looking at her all pale, I was like, oh my God, she did not look like this the last time we saw her. She's getting worse, whatever the hell is wrong with her. And that last little conversation they had when they were all huddled up on the ground, I don't know what she was like, if she was wearing her like dress or her like shawl or something, like over her like chest area, but that shit material looked very, very comfortable. And when she was like, I don't want to die, that was so sad and beautiful. The conversation they had afterwards when, he was like she was like, explain to me the science behind, the boat getting over the fall. And he was like, well, basically, I just wanted Harald to understand, like, what he's putting everybody else through. He's asking them to do something, and he don't even understand the severity of it. And I was like, see, that's my man's right there. I always said Leif was clever. I always said he was very smart, and he's just proving me wrong. Proving me right. Anyway, I liked, them all coming together. I don't know, like, what's about to happen, but I just have this really bad feeling that something's going to happen to Miriam. I don't know. Leif has been through enough. I don't want this to be her demise. Like, she just looks so frail, and she looks way more frail than she did when we were first introduced her. But I'm sure, being on a boat day in and day out isn't helping whatever kind of sickness she has, because it seems like some type of lung type of a thing, which, I mean, I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but it couldn't have been something that she was like born with, some type of like congenital thing, because she wouldn't have made it this far in life. So it had to be like some type of disease that she got over time. So I'm thinking it's some type of like infection, like maybe she got, some type of flu and her body just didn't fully recover and she still has pneumonia. I don't know. Her cough sounded very COVID-y. It's like a smoker's cough, a person with COPD, some type of pulmonary disease. And people with like chronic diseases, or they have a pneumonia that just don't really go away. It kind of sounds like that. So I'm thinking like something like that. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. But, I wanted to get this out because I want to go ahead and go to this next episode. And now that this Freydis thing is wrapped up, I don't know if I care enough. I will say though, the whole, like when she, was found in the woods by that girl, I was like, okay, I knew she was going to show back up. And then they like, Freitas was like, I gotta go get my son. And she was like, she was so determined. And I was like, you are like barely able to walk. Like, how the fuck do you think this is going to go? And she was like, either I kill him and he kills her. I'm like, unless the people in the town turn on him, bitch, where do you think this is going to go? And I was like, I feel like I know where this is going. But what I will say was when because he had her sword, and I was like, wow, that's fucked up. He about to try and stab her with her own sword. I was like, somebody should throw a rock at his ass. And then one of them hit him in the back. I started laughing. I was like, are they really throwing stones? Like, that's hilarious. I didn't think they were really going to do it, but like for him to get stoned to death, like that's fucking embarrassing. I think it sucks that it took Freitas' death for her to like, man up. You didn't even want to fucking raise up for your son. Like, I get it. I feel like she believed dude over her son, and her son was like, I didn't kill Freitas. Nobody believed her. It's like, you said Freitas was dead. He's like, when he saw her like at the thing, like his whole like demeanor changed. Like these town folks are stupid as fuck. Like everything about it, like the way when Freitas like got her son back and she put her sword up, and then all the people outside just came in. Y'all just gonna live happily ever after they treated y'all like shit because of this dumbass dude. Is this really how this is gonna go? You guys are fucking stupid. Whatever. I don't like this Jomsborg, and they can all go to hell. I hope we get to see Leif meet his little nephew and Harald meet his son. I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition, but I'm hoping that we're done with this storyline because I don't give a shit anymore. I did think that the baby was cute. Super chunky, and I love it. He didn't like he missed Freitas at all. I'm just going to point that out there. This whole time I've been trying to like, what have they been feeding this baby? Because Freitas ain't never gave him any fucking milk from her nipple. So her breast milk ain't even come in. So how is this, like, who's feeding him? What are we giving him? How is he so chunky and fluffy? What did they feed babies back then? I feel like they fed them breast milk. Am I wrong? What else? Oh, we got to see Canute. I swear I was just thinking about him last episode. Like, we probably not going to see him in this episode. And then, oh, surprise, he showed up. And then we got the reveal that King Canute is betrothed, what was her name, Geetha, to Godfrey. Is that his name? That's not his name. You know what I'm talking about. But, like, I'm just going back to what you said because I just feel like trying to think that he calculated his maneuvers so well that he could using probability could predict how Emma was going to respond seems too fucking far-fetched. So I haven't listened to all of your podcasts so far up until, oh no, I have. I'm lying. I don't remember what you last said, but I haven't, you haven't done 5 yet, but I don't know how you can say that he put all these maneuvers into place. Like, how would he know that Emma was going to torture, what's her name to death? I don't know. So he made up this whole relationship with her, found her brother, used the bear to get her brother to attempt the life on Emma. And then in hopes that, what's her name? No, I don't know. She has some fucking weird name, Athelwyn or something like that. I think it's Athelwyn. She was going to walk up on her brother's dead body at the same exact moment that Emma was paying attention. And then she was going to be like, oh, why did you respond that way? And then, she was going to make her confess that was her brother. Like, I just feel like the only way that shit would be realistic is if we're in some type of AI some type of AI computer genius that can do probabilities to pinpoint every human response. Like, there's too many things that would have had to be purposely put in place for dude to have orchestrated this thing. Like, I'm not saying he's not on some bullshit. I'm not saying he's not making some shit, like he's not moving chess pieces. I would even say he probably killed the bear. Like, But it's just like, I mean, I know he told her about the bear, but she also overheard him talking. So I think some things just couldn't have been put into place the way that they have. So I don't understand how I'm supposed to believe that he maneuvered this whole thing. I always thought he was going to end up with Forkbeard's daughter, because she's a princess. I remember the way he was eyeballing her. So when this whole Ethelwyn came, like, love thing came up, I was surprised. I was like, I don't even remember them looking at each other until this season. So that was a surprise, but it does make sense that he would be married to Canute's niece. That would put him right in the family. I don't know. I'm trying to see, like, I want to see how everything falls into place, because I do think Emma was onto something, but some things just seems too convoluted for me to believe that it fell into place perfectly for him. So I don't know. I'm kind of done with this storyline too. I just want to see what's happening with this daggone waterfall in these picnics, because I want to see if they make it to Constantinople, and I want Miriam to make it, and I want her to at least have some time with Leif, because he already lost Liv and he lost his fucking mind. Granted, now he has something else to take his focus. He learned a lot of stuff, and maybe that'll be his new journey. Maybe he won't respond the way that he did with Liv, but I also think he deserves to be happy for a little bit, and being with a woman he fell in love with on a boat for months shouldn't be the way their story ends. So I am looking forward to see how this plays out. But I mean, I feel like it was a reason they introduced her, a woman of color, and she's dying. I don't think she's going to make it all the way to the end and be in season 3. But I hope I'm proven wrong. So I guess we'll see. I will end it here. Until next time, love, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic. Queen of the couch, Mimi out.
That was Queen Mimi with her thoughts on the episode. Mainly upset that she did not get to see the ins and outs and everything in between. I feel you though. I get it. But I also realize COVID. I don't forget when shit was filmed in COVID. Yeah. They could have had a closed set, but it wasn't. That's why they had him outside. It was like, yeah, this is the best that we gonna be able to do for y'all. I was mad I didn't get my zaddy sex scene, so we both was disappointed. I ain't saying I don't feel you. I ain't saying I feel you. You know I got things for the good news. Anyhow, other than that, yeah, did you listen to my last podcast? Because you asked last time, how does that baby getting some milk? And I'm like, girl, wet nurses exist. Don't worry, that baby gonna get some milk. But did not seem at all like, I was cool. I was happy. I didn't know shit was going on. Clearly they weren't not. Now I'm wondering, I'm like, did he kill your daddy and steal you as a baby, JoJo? Since he's still alive, I'm guessing he's still has something to do. Yeah, I did laugh when they started throwing rocks at him. I thought that was hysterical. I'm like, why? I just didn't think we needed the fight. We didn't need the fight. But them just stoning him to death, that felt appropriate. That is one person against everybody else. And you have elders. I'm like, fuck, you have to answer to somebody? Get the hell out of here. Why you have so much autonomy? What else? Yeah, I don't have much to say with the Emma storyline other than they just never sold me on Godwin that smart. Not that to say that I wouldn't believe it, but it was too convoluted for it to possibly have been impressive in the amount of time they gave him. Unfortunately, it was not built up. Yes, we saw one ingenious plan from Godwin last season, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy the actor. I don't buy him playing this role. He feels so easily see-through. That's another reason why I can't You know, you need to be someone that people wouldn't expect, and yet you're someone everyone expects. So while she didn't have any concrete proof, you know, this ending with him being given Geetha, I certainly, like, I know why Canute had to do what he had to do. He's like, fuck, my wife killed your engaged. It's only fair that I feel, you know, and he even makes it like, hey, if it really was love, imagine the heartbreak he's going through. And because we can't say isn't, imagine how I would feel if I lost you. I really love how he listened to her. He didn't dismiss her, but he simply said, you know, we need a strong case. And this unfortunately is too circumstantial. It's like, we know he's guilty, but we have to be able to 100% prove it. And, yeah, I just wish she was portrayed smarter than what she had been up until this particular episode. And I don't have much more to add with the Leif storyline other than, girl, you might as, I was like you too, like, oh, he doesn't deserve it, but hey, we live and we love. We love and we lose love. And while I was certainly on your side, like, Leif shouldn't have another story that's going to end in tragedy, I think, if anything, it's going to be more rejuvenating than it is. It's like, yeah, you can love, you can lose love, and that might happen, but you still can go on. You have things that, you know, you can love again, right? Because after Liv, he would have said, I could never love. Now he's loved again. And thus, I think that in itself, and what he has now learned from her, he can take and build himself a future. Like I said, those stories are going to diverge at some point. And I would have loved a woman of color to continue to be, because then now they were like, well, we did it. We crossed it off the list. So when some, ooh, we know, is that cynical? That's so cynical to say. But at the same time, anyhow, we shall see though. We shall see. I don't mind. I really don't. I like Miriam a lot, but I never at any moment thought it was meant to last. If you want to send feedback on the next episode, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. My social media will be there as well. Once again, like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic. Hustling, 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 hustling.